So welcome to Farrah Films. Today we have Zach.
How's it going?
So I'm good. You want to introduce yourself? I mean, I know we did a podcast, but
Sure. My name is Zach Lipovsky. I'm a director and app designer as well. I've made a bunch of different stuff in TV and film. Most recently, a film called Freaks that's on Netflix. That's an indie film that I wrote and directed with my best friend, Adam Stein. And recently did some work. I've been also the recent Kim Possible film for Disney that's on Disney Plus. I recently did the reboot of Fraggle Rock for Apple, and some other cool stuff. So yeah, and then on the other side, I make apps, and I have this app called Shotlister. That's the sort of industry leading app for shot listing for directors in the world.
yeah, before we talk about Shotlister, I'm honestly a big fan, honestly, as always. I mean, Kim Possible, Freaks. I mean, many of your work, honestly. I'm definitely like inspired from Freaks from you.
Yeah.
Like how
Yeah, I
you
mean, that was a passion. Freaks was a total passion project. It was basically something that Adam and I made basically to try and kind of steer our career in the direction we wanted it to go. And, we wrote it, we directed it, we painted the walls, we raised the money, we negotiated all the contracts. We did every step of everything on that film to kind of bring it into the world.
Yeah, definitely. And even like Kim Possible also, I just recently watched that, so raised the
Yeah,
toast.
very different than Freaks, but still pretty fun. And,
Yeah.
it was really exciting to dive into that world.
Yeah. So before we, start talking about Shotlister, I like to like explain like for the audience that some people don't know this, like what is a shot list to break it down to a simple way.
Sure. Um, I remember very clearly the first moment I understood what a shot list was. I was making a short film when I was, a teenager. And it was the first time I was shooting it without someone I went to school with. It was like the first time I had people that were like, actually, this is what they do for a job. And I had a DP who was a friend of a friend, and we were just shooting the film the way that I used to shoot it with my friends. Is just I'm holding the camera and we go, what should we shoot next? And then we'd go over and we'd shoot it and go, okay, what should we shoot next? And we go over and we'd shoot it. And at the end of the day, the DP said, it might be better if you tonight, think about what we're going to shoot tomorrow and write it down. And then we can kind of look at that list of shots and decide which one makes sense to do first and which one makes sense to do second. And we can sort of build a plan on how we're going to shoot this movie. And it kind of was like this light bulb moment in my teenage brain of like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And kind of started my lifelong obsession for shot listing, which is basically a list of the shots that you want to get, and generally in the order that you want to get them. Now, as I started kind of growing in my career, that became clear that there was sort of, unlike scripts and unlike budgets, there was no sort of industry standard of what a shot list was or how it was supposed to look. Every director did it differently. A lot of people just built a list on Excel and printed it out on a piece of paper, and you kind of cross it off with a pen and doing math in the corner of the paper, trying to figure out how your schedules go, how much time you have left, which shots you got to get rid of. And as I started doing that more and more, I just started realizing there has to be a better way of doing this. Like, I was shooting something literally with the piece of paper on the back of my AD, doing math to try and with a pen, trying to figure out how much time we had left, how many shots we could get. And was like, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And that's kind of what led to Shotlister.
No, yeah, honestly, even for me, I even when I first started my short films, I'm like, oh, I didn't really shot list, that ahead. I'm like, my head was running around everywhere. I'm like, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. But oh my god, shot list for me is so much easier, honestly. Just comprehend how much time you have and you know what I mean, keep everything organized, honestly.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit it has is two things. One is because the way it works is you build all your shots, but then before you shoot your day, you kind of estimate how long you think each one's going to take. And it's just a guess. Yeah. But often when you do that process, you quickly go, oh, there's no way this is fitting into a day. Or, my first guess is it's going to take 18 hours. Okay, well, that's the problem. And so you go through this process of sort of having a lot of those decisions of, okay, well, I don't actually need this, and maybe I'll combine these two things. And you go through a lot of that work in your head before you even get to set, which sets you up for success in a much better way. And then the second thing is that when you're shooting, because it's digital instead of a piece of paper, is you can change the plan live as you're going, which is so key because filming never goes according to plan. And so being able to change the order and combine things and move things to other days really is sort of calming and helpful because you can see a plan in front of you rather than trying to do it all in your head.
So what are some advantages like while using Shot Lister that you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, those are the two main ones. The others are obviously lots of the key features, like you can still export really nice PDFs to share with people that don't have the app. You can add storyboards, you can sync it between all the different devices so that everyone can kind of be following along as you go. There's one of the other big advantages is that as you start working on bigger stuff, when it's not just you and your friends and sort of a short film where everyone's come to support you, as you start working on stuff for other people, the producers get really nervous that directors are sort of unaware of the schedule, that the directors are unaware of like basically reality. And traditionally directors would sort of hide their plan from producers, which I've always found strange because producers then get really nervous and start hovering over you and bugging you while you're trying to, work. Whereas when you have Shot Lister, and even when you share Shot Lister with them or share the shot list with them or whatever the case may be, they really see that you have a plan, and it puts them so much more at ease because all they really want to know is you have a plan. And also Shot Lister glows red when you're behind. So they also just want to know that you're behind so that, you're making choices to kind of land the plane on the ship at the right time. And so one of the big benefits is just sort of other people having confidence in you, because as you get higher and higher in your directing career, the more and more people are constantly not confident that you're going to be able to pull it off.
I even like the whole idea, like why you made like Shot Lister, like it has to be easier. Which like you definitely made it easier, honestly. Just like before, like I've been like just like scribble on paper, but like
Yeah, and we get emails from filmmakers all around the world, in China and Turkey and Australia and like, India, people being like, oh my God, you've made my shoot so much easier, which is really fun to kind of hear from, people all around the world.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. It was awesome to see like how big like Shot List is also getting. Also, like I remember it from the start also, so it's definitely see like a big honestly that got there.
Yeah, I mean it's by no, we're not Adobe or anything, but we
No,
have we have a small team and we're able to keep it going, and most of the income we make just goes to keeping it working.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why is Shot List a big time saver for production? Because obviously you said like the time slot mode.
Well, I think one of the main things is that there's a lot of time that can be saved in figuring out the order of shots that you're going to do. So for example, if moving the camera from the dolly to the crane is going to take half an hour, then when you're looking at that and your estimates, you can go, oh, well, what if we start on the crane and just call those people earlier? And then we don't have to wait that half an hour during the day. We can actually just take it off the crane. All we'll have to do during our 12 hours is take it off the crane and put it on the dolly. And then we've saved, half an hour, which means usually you can get an extra shot. So going through the process of doing that and then doing it with your team, looking through your estimates with your DP and stuff are all ways of saving time, because time is sort of the main commodity on a film set. Like the main reason that first DP I ever worked with suggested it was because when I was just running around the house shooting the next thing I thought of shooting, he had to relight every shot. Yeah. Whereas when you're doing stuff more professionally and more organized, you tend to shoot everything that looks one way and then shoot everything that looks the other way, so that you only have to relight once, because when you turn around, you're moving all the lights, and that takes usually a lot of time. And so by sort of organizing the shots, you can put them in an order where it's best for sort of the logistical time. Because on film sets, filming is never really the time suck. Like actually shooting the takes isn't what uses up all the time. It's the time between the takes that uses up all the time. Moving the gear, setting up the lights, you know, bringing in the new special effect thing, whatever, all that is the stuff that really kills you. So trying to be as efficient as possible with that gives you more time to actually shoot stuff.
So I have a example for how I use shot.
Yeah, go for it.
So yeah, it was one of my short films called like Lost House. It was like on my YouTube channel. Like we had like we lost like a big amount of time, and also like people had to go work after that. So it's like I had to like kind of work against that. But like Shotless would definitely help me with that sort of film. Be like, you know, try to be like, oh, we have to be on time for this. For this person goes to work, for this actor goes to work, and but yeah, no, definitely, like it definitely helped me with that. So
yeah, I do a lot of stuff with kids, and kids can only work a certain amount of hours. There's no overtime with kids. They disappear. We call it, they pumpkin. And um, and so you have to be extremely down to the second with your time with them, and it's the same thing, you know. So we use Shotlister a lot for that. Like in Shotlister, when I'm working with kids, I literally, one of the things you can do is make your own column, and I make a column that's called face, and it's basically, is the kid's face in this shot? And so I move all of the shots that have the kid's face in it to the very beginning, so that if we lose them, you know, and it's just shots of the adults or shots over someone's shoulder, we can use a photo double or just not see them in the shot and do it after we lose them.
oh yeah, and also like one of the films where I had to help make a feature film for the like as a PA to apply. So like pretty much like we had to like we rent out this elementary school, but we only had these kids like a certain amount of time before the parents took them. So but yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, definitely. So why do you think that every filmmaker should use this for their production tool?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone over a lot of those reasons already, but I think it really just gives you peace of mind and confidence. Like as a director, you've got everyone pulling you in 100 different directions. You've got to think about so many different things at the same time. You've got to think about the story. You've got to think about the actors. You've got to think about, is the lighting right? Is the camera movement right? Was that a focus? How are we doing on time? You know, is the set ready for the next thing that we're going to? You've got so many different decisions going through your mind at once. That this sort of, I always find it, for me, when I use Shotlister, it kind of becomes like Grand Central Station for all those decisions. It sort of gives me one place to look at to sort of know how I'm doing and give me the confidence that we're going to get there by the end of the day. And that really, if you have that confidence, then that confidence, you know, spreads to the rest of the crew, and they end up doing their best work.
No, yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Especially like as a director, like you have to have like confidence as a director yourself, because everyone like, you know, look up to you, and like
Yeah,
you fall short of that, everyone else will fall short of that. So
yeah,
so yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, honestly, like Shotlist is like honestly like the best way to like stay organized on set, because like I mean everything on set is like, oh yeah, I gotta see like this thing's happened, now this thing's happened. It's like, yeah, no, definitely.
for sure.
So what is your favorite feature for using for Shotlister? I'll say mine too, but
Yeah. What is my favorite feature? It's a good question. I think there's a lot of different ones, but I think my favorite one, although sometimes it doesn't work perfectly, but when it does work, it's really great, is Crew Sync, which allows you to basically share the shot list with anyone else who's using it live. So they can, on their phone, their iPad, or even if they're at the trailers or somewhere else, they can open up the app and see how you're doing and where you're at. And I'm just a big believer in sort of transparency of data and having everyone be informed. And there's so many times where people come to me with a solution to a problem I didn't even know existed, because they had the information. You know, they say, oh, I see in a few shots you're going to be doing this. By the way, it's going to take us 20 minutes to set that up. So should we start doing that now? It's like, yes, you should. And so, you know, basically sharing the data is sort of it's not quite a feature, but it's something that CrewSync can do.
No, yeah, definitely. I also love the time sync where it's like it tells you like how much time you have left and pretty much
Yeah.
like obviously it said like once you're behind time it turns red. If you're good at time it turns green. I mean like I love that like feature honestly. I use it like all the time when I'm like working on film or like just anything that's like just so
Yeah.
I know like where my time is at and what really shot I should do instead of the other one that will take the most like what's the least and most amount of time that will take.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So what is the benefits of using the pro version? I know you guys have a pro version out there right
Yeah.
there.
So the pro version, basically the app on iOS is free. And I would say 90% of the features are on the iOS app. So you can use the app basically for free right now and get almost every feature that it has. But there is a subscription for some pro features. We have that basically so that we can sustain ourselves to continue making the app. And there's a few things you get for that. One is you can add storyboards. One is that you can use CrewSync and publish your project so that other people can sync with it. The other is you can import scripts, and it basically auto generates all the scene information out of the script headers. So that saves you a lot of time. You can also, on iOS, you can only have 2 projects at once going. And so if you have a pro feature, you can have more than 2 projects. It also allows you to do circle takes, which is basically a way of like while you're shooting, marking which takes you thought were good in the moment, so that when you're editing later, you can go, oh yeah, I thought take 4 was good. It allows you to mark that down as you go. And then all the new features that we're adding are basically funded by the pro users. So a lot of that stuff is going to be that's coming down the line is going to be pro as well. And then yeah, those are the main benefits.
No, no, yeah, definitely. I would honestly definitely recommend the audience that listen to this right now definitely get the pro version. It's definitely like you can at least like try out the free version, but definitely the pro version is like definitely worth the money. Honestly, I think it's like
Yeah,
$13 like a year or something.
we just added a new. You can now do it, but you can now buy 1 month or 3 months or 12 months. So we've kind of given more options, and we've also added a 2-week free trial, so that you can just try it out first and see if you like those features.
So what features could you say that are coming up, or you can't say? Famous.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the features are just things that we've always really wanted and things that people are asking for. One of the things that we're excited to do in the new year is we had done it when it initially launched. Is an Apple Watch version of Shotlister,
Ooh,
but the first basically we built it for sort of Watch OS 1. And then when Apple created Watch OS 2, they completely changed everything. And so it didn't work anymore. And we had to kind of take it down. But we're hoping to rebuild it for the new. And also, Apple Watches weren't that popular when they first came out, but now they're a lot more popular. And so we're hoping to build that and bring that together. And lots of other small things that people just keep emailing about. We just had a big director who's doing $100 million Disney movie right now, and he's using Shotlister, and he uses storyboards a lot. And so he's hoping for like a new PDF that exports where the storyboards are really big instead of really small. So things like that come from the users.
that's awesome. I thought that's awesome. Big time directors using that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely. Do you have anything come up yourself for like work or no?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff, you never know if it's actually going to happen. Like so much of directing is you're sort of working on projects, even professional projects, that have studios and stuff, and you never know if they're actually going to happen or not. but yeah, coming up, like I said, I did the reboot of Fraggle Rock, which is coming out on Apple in January. I did a pilot for Disney that I can't talk about, but that's coming out next year as well. And then I have some projects that I'm attached to, a few that have been announced. One is a really cool rock climbing action thriller. It's sort of Die Hard on a mountain, about sort of almost like Free Solo meets Die Hard. So that's something that we're working on that hopefully is going to happen in the new year. But lots of other stuff that we're writing and selling and trying to get made and hustling. The hustle never ends.
Oh yeah, I feel that honestly.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be it, Zach. Thank you so much for coming on.
absolutely. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.